Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I am Jennifer Huber, also known as Solo Travel Girl, and I know it's been a hot minute since I've posted a long form video on YouTube, but here I am. You saw the title of the video, you saw the thumbnail, and I am posting this video in hopes that it helps someone down the road. Basically, the short version is my cat got outside, I retrieved him, he bit at my hands, they got infected. I'm going to be okay. That's the short version. So if you want to skip the video and carry on, consider yourself informed. If you want to hear a little bit of a story as to how this all came about, please, I invite you to stay. So yeah, the Friday before Thanksgiving, about 2 weeks ago, I was packing up my car, getting ready for a community yard sale, which was being held the next day. And the reason why I was doing that is because I'm trying to downsize. I'm 55, I'm in my pre-retirement era, and I need to downsize. And honestly, with it being Christmas, I am getting a little bit of anxiety because people are asking what I want, and I don't want anything. I do not want any more stuff. I would like experiences. I would like my debt to be paid down. Time with people, but I do not need any more things. No matter how small it is, I have a really hard time finding a place to put things. So anyway, the community yard sale was an opportunity for me to downsize a bit and then make some extra money. So I have 2 cats. You know about my dog because I talk a lot about my dog Radcliffe, and he travels with me, but cats, they're not so mobile. And I have 2 cats, Sunny and China. Sunny is 16. China, she's probably about 13. And anyway, they are indoor cats. Packing up the car, I thought I saw Sunny run into my bedroom, which is on the opposite side of the house from where the front door is. I went to go out the front door to put something in the car, and the door popped open, and China ran in the house. And apparently I did not shut the door all the way. She propped the door open with her paw and she got outside. Now, my cats do go out on occasion for supervised visits, so to say, but for no more than 5 minutes, but I'm always with them. So China ran in and I'm like, well, where's Sunny? So I did a quick look around the house, and then I did a quick look outside the house in the dark. Sunny was nowhere to be found. So I just had one more box to put into the car. And I'm sorry, I am glistening. It's been hot and humid in Florida today. It's December, still hot and humid. Anyway, so I couldn't find Sunny. I got in the car, and basically the equivalent of 7 houses down and across the street, there was Sunny standing outside of this culvert, this pipe that goes underneath a driveway. And I got out. I tried to get him, but he just ran into the pipe. And basically the attitude it gave me was kind of like a teenager, like saying, Mom, I hate you. You don't love me anymore. I'm running away from home. Now, I have heard of cats going off in their elder years and then just transitioning on, going to the Rainbow Bridge. And then part of me thought, well, maybe this is what Sunny wanted to do. However, where I live, I was concerned of the predators. There are bobcats in my neighborhood. There are birds of prey, hawks and owls. And then there are also coyotes. And actually the week that this happened, posted on the Nextdoor app, a neighbor said that she witnessed a coyote grab her cat. So I did not want that tragic ending happening to my cat, considering I've had him since he was a baby. I found him when he was a kitten. So that's over 16 years. So I decided to go back, drove back home, and then I got Radcliffe, my dog. And the reason why I got Radcliffe, it's not because him and Sunny have a great relationship. They actually don't. Sunny does not like Radcliffe. And the reason why I brought him is because I believe Radcliffe is a magnet animal. What does that mean? Well, I know it's going to sound goofy, but it is basically an animal that attracts other animals that are lost, so to say. He's not a search and rescue dog. He's not someone that I could say, give him something to smell and say, go find this animal. It's just that there have been 3 or 4 occasions that there have been lost animals in my neighborhood, and I just walk him through the area where we think the animals are, and they have come out, and they have come to Radcliffe. So anyway, I walked down with Radcliffe. I didn't drive because my car was packed and there was no room for Radcliffe. Got to the pipe, and then Sunny came out. And he and Radcliffe were friends, and they're smelling each other and that. When I say Sunny came out, he did not totally come out of the pipe. And I grabbed him before he was totally out, and then he bit my right hand twice. And then I thought it'd be a good idea to try my left hand, and he bit me twice. So when I went to grab him, I tried to grab him by the gruff, and just the angle, I didn't get a good grip, and he bit at my hands. And then he went back into the pipe, and he didn't come out. So now it's close to 11 o'clock at night. The neighbors' lights were not on. There is some other neighbors down the road coming and going, and I'm thinking, they're probably thinking, what is this woman doing with a flashlight under, looking in the pipe and all that? So then, I took Radcliffe back, and then I put Radcliffe in the wagon, and I had a red wagon, put Radcliffe in the wagon, and then I brought food, canned food, for Sunny. So here I am now with a dog and a wagon and cat food in the dark. There are no street lights on my street. So we wheeled down Radcliffe down to the culvert where Sunny is, and then I pop open the canned food, I put it in the culvert, in the pipe, and then I wait. And then Sunny kind of came out, but then Radcliffe started barking. And then Sunny went back in the pipe. And then I pulled Radcliffe away. Sunny kind of came out, but then he went back in. Basically, I could not get him. Now, it's about 11:30 at night now. My hands are bleeding. I was wearing a white sweatshirt. Blood is on my white sweatshirt. And I'm like, I guess I just need to give up. So I put Radcliffe into the wagon, wheel him back to my house, and then I hear footsteps. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds like a human. I knew it wasn't an animal. It sounded like a human. And my guard got up. I had pepper spray on me, and I shined my flashlight, and I saw a man, a young man, and he was on his workout run apparently, or walk. He had like a weighted vest on. But me, being 55 years old, I felt like I needed to explain to him what I was doing at 11:30 at night in the dark with my senior dog in a wagon rolling it down the street. It does seem kind of comical, doesn't it? Yes. So I get back home. I cleaned up my hands. I used alcohol and hydrogen peroxide and Neosporin, and I bandaged up my hands, and I'm thinking, my gosh, what am I going to do about my cat? He's never been outside this long before. He's never been outside in the dark by himself, not since he was a kitten. And I was just terrified something really bad was going to happen to him. So I left Radcliffe at home, and I took the wagon, and I grabbed a bag with the intention of putting Sunny into the bag, hoping that I was going to grab him. So I went down there, wagon and all, and shined a light inside the pipe. There's Sunny in the middle. He hadn't touched the food at that point, or I mean, he touched it, but he was not near the food at this point. So I went on the other side of the culvert, which I did before, and I shined the light at him, and then he got up and he left the pipe. However, by the time I got to the other side, he decided he was going into the backyard of the neighbor. So the neighbor's fence has been down since Hurricane Ian. Not the whole fence, but part of the fence has been down since Hurricane Ian, which was in 2022. And my cat, Sunny, just decided to go in the backyard. Well, I got up to the fence and I decided I cannot go in their backyard because that'd be like, that's trespassing and all that. So I'm like, all right, I need to wait for Sunny. So I went back out to the road, and I just sat and waited for my cat to do whatever he was doing in their backyard. And thankfully it wasn't too long. So around midnight, he decided to come out, and he got next to the fence and then the house. It was basically in a corner, and I just went and grabbed him. And then I put him in the wagon. I did not put him in the bag. I put him in the wagon. He's crying, screaming. I did not let go of him in the wagon. However, something that happens, and this happens when I have to take him to the vet to get his vaccines, and when we evacuate for a hurricane, he literally has the number 2 scared out of him. So that's what he did in my wagon. So I got him home. I ended up throwing my wagon away because there was no way that was going to be coming out. No way. And it was actually time the wagon was falling apart. I've had it for many years. However, I was a little bit sad throwing that away. So I got him in the house. Meanwhile, it's about 12:30ish, 1:45. The community yard sale setup started at 5 a.m. and I decided at that point I would be there at 6 a.m. We'd be set up by 7 a.m. for 8 a.m. start time. And I know that cats carry bacteria, and when you get a cat bite, you really need to take it seriously. So I started Googling and just talked about how bad cat bites can be and how the infections can be fast. So I already decided that after the yard sale, I would go to the urgent care to be taken care of. In hindsight, I should have just gone to the ER that night, even though it would have been 1 o'clock in the morning. Because I did go to the yard sale. I left my house around 5:30. I got there around 6 o'clock. Got all set up by 8. And as the morning progressed, my right hand just began to swell up. And the pain was pain like I've never felt before. I've broken bones, I've had a hysterectomy, I've had shoulder surgery, but the pain that I was feeling in my hands, primarily in my right hand, was off the charts. So by the end of the yard sale, I was ready to go. I was tired, I was not feeling well, and I drove with my car with all my stuff in it. I mean, I got rid of a lot of things. Got rid of actually a couple boxes worth. So my car was not as packed, but it still had items in it, and I drove to urgent care. I was so tired, and I don't think it did not feel like a tired of running on 3 hours of sleep. It just felt like a sick, knock you out tired. So got to urgent care, and basically I thought it was really weird. They didn't even look at my bites or anything, which meant they didn't even clean them out. And I don't know if that's because so much time had passed, about 12 hours had passed as to when it happened. So I don't know if they just couldn't do anything. But because I had my last tetanus shot was in 2020, I got a tetanus booster, and then they prescribed a 7-day supply of antibiotics. And the antibiotic that they prescribed it was amoxicillin clavulente. or Augmentin is the common name, or the brand name, I guess. But so I was prescribed that. But when I was in the waiting room, well, first off, okay, so when I checked in, when I told them that I was there for a cat bite, they said that they need to file a report with the county. And I'm like, but it was my cat. They said, well, we still need to file it. So then my mind is like, oh my gosh, after going through all this to save my cat, is my cat going to be euthanized? So I had to fill out the form for animal services for Sarasota County, and then that was sent off to animal services. Basically, I said that my cat was provoked and explained everything that happened as to why he bit me. Thankfully, my cat is up to date on his rabies and that. So we'll put a pin in that, because I'm going to talk to you, because that's going to happen 2 days after the fact. Or yeah, we're on Saturday now. I'll tell you what happened on Monday. So anyway, when I'm in the waiting room waiting to be called on, I had like a 45-minute wait or so. I was just so tired that I fell asleep in the waiting room. And then when I got called in, and then I'm waiting in the patient's room, I guess you can call it, for the doctor, nurse practitioner, I fell asleep in there. Then after I had my tetanus booster, they left me alone in there. I fell asleep again, and the nurse practitioner came in after 15 minutes basically to discharge me. So then on my way to CVS to pick up my prescription, I was just so tired. Again, it's not a tired that was from 3 hours of sleep, because I have done that. I do that a lot, and it was just a very different tired. So by the time I got home, I let Radcliffe out, and then it was about 4 o'clock. I fell asleep on the sofa. I woke up at 7 o'clock, and then let Radcliffe out, fed the animals, and then I went to bed until 8 o'clock the next morning. I just felt so tired. My hands, so swollen, my right hand specifically. I don't know if you can see. I guess you can't see. Oh, there we go. I am in the stage now, see there's one bite, that my skin is peeling, and it's feeling like a soft skin, but this is where one of the puncture wounds is, one of the bites. And then, oh, I'm sorry, it's so bright. Let's see here. Anyway, let's see. Let's turn my thumb. Well, I had a bite here on this side. You can kind of see here, and then on the inside of my hand, that's where my 2 puncture wounds were. It was very difficult for me to open up my bottle of medication. It was difficult for me to turn the faucets on my sink. It was very difficult to turn the door handle. And I really got thinking about down the road and aging, what's going to happen if I have issues with my hands. If you've been following along, you know that I have issues with trigger finger and my thumb, and then beginning in these 2 fingers, which I really believe it's from the Lyme disease. But I don't know, it just makes me really appreciate mobility, and makes me realize how I really need to prepare about aging and take mobility issues into consideration. But by the time Monday came around, my hand was feeling better. It was still super swollen. It was warm. I didn't have a fever, so I knew I was okay. Oh, Saturday when I was in the urgent care, I started to have red streaks going up my hands. And I know having the red streaks from an infection is really, really bad. When I was a kid, I think I was about 3 years old, I was in the hospital for basically I scratched an insect bite and it got infected. And sorry, I had to pause. But basically I've had cellulitis twice in my life, and I was worried about this becoming cellulitis, which could lead to sepsis. When I was 3 years old, I had it, and I was hospitalized overnight, and then I had it again actually during the government shutdown in the 1990s. When was that? Anyway, I was living and working in Everglades National Park. It was the government shutdown, and I had a hangnail, and I was dipping shrimp in the marina, getting the dead shrimp out, and basically the bacteria got into my hangnail and infected my arm, and yeah, had to have a really expensive shot with that, shot of antibiotics, which again, I had another expensive shot of antibiotics when I went and saw my doctor on Monday. Went and saw my primary care physician just to make sure everything was okay, but she did give me a shot of antibiotics, and that really put me at ease because I really didn't think 7 days was going to be enough, especially since no one cleaned out my puncture wounds. So also what happened on Monday is that the sheriff's department called me. The animal services is under the sheriff's department, so it was actually animal services called me to talk to me about my cat. They were very understanding, and because they did have his records, they gave me the option of either them coming and picking him up to put him in quarantine for 10 days to make sure that he was not sick, or just to have him on home quarantine, which is what I did because he's an indoor cat. And basically that's Monday after Thanksgiving. They called to make sure that he was still alive and okay. Of course he was. So that's the end of the story. Nothing bad is happening to Sunny, but again, this whole experience was just a wake-up call. It was also a wake-up call about living alone and the downside of that. I still had to take out my animals. Had to take out Radcliffe. I didn't take the cats out, obviously. Still had to feed them and care for them. Had to take care of myself. Had to open up jars or bottles by myself, and that was really, really painful. And that's the downside of living alone and by yourself, not having someone is when you're sick, there's very few people that are there to help you. Or I'm just that private person that I don't let that many people in my life, so to say. But that was very eye-opening, and it was just a scary experience. Honestly, you shouldn't do this, but I Googled things, and I was envisioning spending Thanksgiving in the hospital with an IV, but no, it was okay. I ended up went up to Buffalo, spent Thanksgiving with my family. It was very nice. It was a very quick trip, but yeah, my hands, it's still healing. It's over 2 weeks. See, you can see there. But anyway, that's my wackadoo story. I know this was longer than I expected and anticipated, but thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, life's too short, so always say yes to adventure. Bye.